Hello, my name is Zach Wright with Old Man Gaming, and this is another Snap Judgment review. What's a Snap Judgment review if you've never heard one before? Well, I personally think game reviewers get a little too wrapped up sometimes in 100%ing a game, getting as close to the end or the end as they possibly can before they review it. They kind of forget what it's like to play it right off the bat and whether or not they're having fun in those early 5-hour sections. So I get about 5 to 10 hours with the game. I'm just trying to give you an idea whether you're going to enjoy it right off the bat or not. That, coupled with the fact that I think games are one of the most subjective forms of art, I don't give scores to my reviews. I'm just going to give you an overview of what the game is, the pros and the cons of the game, which are in my point of view, as all reviews are, and then whether I personally will be sticking with this game outside the purposes of this review, or content. So, there you go. What am I reviewing today? Mecha Break has finally released, like actually 1.0, not a demo, not a beta, nothing like that. We are in Season 0 of this Games as Service PvP game. And it is released with quite a bit of selections, quite a bit of options, quite a bit of mecha for you to play, and of course quite a bit of microtransactions. But I mean, it is a free-to-play game, so let's get down to it. And I'll tell you whether or not I like this game. But before I do, what is Mecha Break? Well, look, I could try to go into the story, but the story is one of my cons later. It's kind of incomprehensible. There is a tutorial mission that I highly recommend you play, if for no other reason than while the explanation of things is kind of hard to follow, the action sequence that you get to do of this huge gunfight down like a space elevator with this incredible song playing is well worth the price of admission, which is free, by the way. So after you do that, then it's time for the multiplayer experience. You have a couple of ways to go. There's your deathmatch, which is 6v6. There is Ace Combat, which is 3v3, and then there is, I'm not exactly sure what they call this mode. I'm gonna call it their extraction shooter mode, because they call it, I think, Operation Storm. But it's an extraction shooter. That's what it is. Extraction Battle Royale type shooter mode. So each one of these modes, you then can pick your mechs, go into these modes, and yeah, you do what you need to do. You pretend to be an anime pilot. You fly around. You shoot mechs. It's hyper fast combat, a la Gundam, the old Gundam series, and Robotech. And they have a wide range of mecha to select from transforming mechs that transform into jets, like your old Robotech. You've got your Gundam standard kind of combat mechs. You even have some heavier, tankier mechs that almost mirror the Battletech stuff. They're still fast, but not nearly as fast as the other things, and they're much more about ammo management and shield management and placement, which is very interesting. There's a lot of ways to play here and a lot of strategies to go into it with, depending on the mecha you choose. So, one more disclaimer, fair point. I did not try the 3v3 Ace Combat mode. It just seemed too personal for me. I like the bigger combat, and I also like to fall into the fray when I'm sucking. And you're going to see in this video, I do suck sometimes. I have my favorite mechs that I like to pilot. I'm pretty good with Stego, but when I try the other ones, they're fun, but I don't do very well. So with that being said, I don't want a magnifying glass put on me with the 3v3 mode. So I haven't tried that yet, but I did try the Operation Storm and the 6v6 Operation Verge extensively. In Operation Verge, it's a series of different objectives. It functions like a hero shooter, not in actual practice, like play, but everything else about it is. So you'll push an objective from point A to point B. You'll capture zones in a Dominion-style game. There's a straight-up deathmatch where it's like, hey, kill these guys X number of times before they kill you. There is this weird, like, capture the flag type mode, and you don't know what you're getting, as well as a couple others, and you don't know what you're getting when you get jacked in, basically, unless you memorize all the maps and what they could possibly be. And there is a good number of maps and a good number of modes. I was actually kind of impressed in 5 hours. I was still kind of discovering new things about the game, new kind of locations and stuff, which in a game like this, usually you've seen everything there is to offer in about 2 hours, and it's just like, do you like the practice of going in and fighting over and over again? Because if you don't, then this isn't the game for you. But there is a good amount of variation here and a good amount of selection as to what you're going to be doing. Those modes tend to cause you to think about your mecha, how you're going to use that mecha in combat. A good example is when I was using Stego for some kind of point objection takes. It's a lot easier to use him to kind of sit back near the point objective and just fire barrages of missiles in, whereas in a deathmatch I have to kind of move around more because they're hunting me, and everybody's a little bit more spread out, so it's a much trickier situation. And this goes the same with the other mechs I played, such as I also really got into Aquila, which is kind of like this aerial specialist sniper type mech, but again, it is a much trickier fight when you're in a deathmatch or the push objective than maybe the point taking objectives. And I found this really entertaining. I enjoy that every time I go into the game, I have to really think about how I'm going to use the mech I have. Now, I do want to point something out, and this will be pointed out again in the cons. Nobody can play the same mech. So if you're on a 6-person team and somebody picks the mech you want before you do, you can't play it. Like I said, this functions a lot like a hero shooter, and hero shooters are all about like how your team synergizes. So you can only pick usually in a hero shooter, you can only pick the things that other people haven't picked, so that you can find those synergies. And yeah, so that's kind of how Operation Verge functions. On the other side of things, you have the Operation Storm. This is the extraction shooter. There's a large map, and the way this works is you are dropped into a point. I'm not exactly sure how many other mechs get dropped in with you, but it's a good number, at least 10. Then this large map, you kind of go around shooting down enemy mechs that pose very little problem for you. Every once in a while you'll get challenged with one or a big boss fight with one, but overall they are just like, it's like almost like Dynasty Wars. You're just swathing through them, and there's not a lot of them. You have to really search for those places, but you're collecting things, mods, paint, different sort of specs. You also have some sort of mission at the bottom, something that is randomly generated that you have to do in the extraction mode, like kill 4 big boss mechs, or maybe take out the drill. And if you do that, you get 400 mash mech points, which will not mash. I think they're mash mech points, airdrop points. We'll get into the currencies in a second, but basically, you also have your ally in this. You can either play a free-for-all, which is just one person, you just go in and you're by yourself, and everybody's by themselves, or you can play a co-op where it's 3-person teams that go in. With the when you meet the other players, it's go time because you all have your own stuff, so you're trying to take stuff from them. And only one person can, if you're free-for-all, it's only one person or one team can use an extraction point. The extraction points, there's 5 or 6 of them, I think, but they spawn slowly over time, so you can't just go right to it and pop out. You have to wait for one to pop in, and when it does, hope you're the first one there, or kill the other people before they can use it to get out yourself. Like I said, once it's used, it's done. So once those 6 are done, you're stuck. You lost because you're stuck on the map. And the map slowly gets destroyed because you start getting these weird randomly generated chloride storms, which are kind of your shrinking map sort of thing, sort of mechanic from a battle royale. With this, you can also airdrop in stuff, repairs, different special weapons outfits, which is kind of interesting because your mech has its standard weapon, but you can replace that with these weapons you collect along the way. You can also airdrop in a cargo pod to take some of your stuff back so that you don't lose it all if you can't get to an extraction point. and stuff like that. However, all these airdrops cost currency earned in Operation Storm. So if you don't have them, if you don't have the currency, you don't get them, which is a little bit obnoxious. So let's go ahead, but that's the extraction mode. That's what it is to it. What I found very interesting and kind of irritating, which we will get into again in the cons, is this is the only way to earn paints for your mecha. You can't earn paints, at least not that I can see, in the normal like 6v6 mode. So the only way you can do that is by going into this. I'm not exactly sure why they did that. Maybe it was to like force people to kind of like try everything out. But I found it a little bit irritating. The only other way to earn paints is, you guessed it, more little microtransaction-y things, which we're going to get into in a second because it's not as bad as I'm making it sound yet, but it's a little annoying. So let's go ahead and go into the pros and the cons. We always start positive first with the pros. The combat is phenomenal in this. It is fast-paced. It makes you feel like you're in a mech. It makes you feel like you're just like you're zipping around and fighting. Even when you are losing, it makes you feel like you are the anime protagonist in any Gundam or Macross series, and it is truly exciting, and I enjoyed it. You get a true sense of success too when you take out an enemy mech, and I love that. We're also going to get into my next pro right from here, which is the execution system. So there are a lot of these games that have these execution systems now, the versus games, where like if you destroy an enemy mech and you're kind of alone or you're by yourself, you can hit that extra button to get the special like finishing move and take your opponent out. I love the execution system in this, and here's why. I don't think you get anything back. I mean, some execution systems, they give you something. Like For Honor, the executions in For Honor is very specifically like a mechanic. It gives you health back, and it gives you health back depending on how long the execution you use animation is. So it is a very strategic use of the execution in that. Whereas with this, not so much. With this, it is more for like, hey, gotcha. But what I really enjoyed about this is the execution is based on the range of your mech. So if you are a long-range mech like Aguila, you can execute from long range with a huge sniper finishing move. I thought this was so cool when I did it the first time, because that's one thing that I found irritating about executions in a lot of other games, is they're almost always close combat. So you have to be in close, and if you're playing a sniper character, you never get to see those executions. In this, you do, because the execution is a sniper execution. I thought that was really cool, and I like the execution system. I like the way that works. I think that's a lot of fun. Variation. Again, I am impressed with how new this game still feels after 5 hours, and it being a deathmatch. Plus, like I said, there's other modes to try. The Mash Mac, I keep calling it Mash Mac, but the Operation Storm mode is a different variation. It's an interesting take on the extraction shooter genre, and while I think it needs a little bit of work, overall, it's fun that it's there, and it's able to give you a break from that 6v6 high octane, fly around the map fighting things, and I enjoy that. And then the designs. I think the designs of all the mechs, weapons, and stuff is very cool. Like I said, very anime, and from what I understand, they actually got the designer of Gundam to do some of these designs, to contribute to some of these designs, which is really cool. The mechs themselves, like every mech feels very different, and all have kind of like their own interesting mechanics. Even when you're in like a section, like there's like two transforming kind of jet type mechs, but they feel kind of different to each other. Same with the snipers. You have 3 snipers in the game. One of them's paid, or semi-paid. We'll get into it. But they all feel very different. The Aguila that I used is all about floating, kind of fast shots, repeated shots, whereas Narakumi is much more about like decoys, camouflage, and big, heavy, one-shot sniper kills. And I think that's really cool that there's a difference between the two. Like everything that feels similar also feels very different, and that's really nice. If I want to change and I switch to a different mech and try that new mech out, win or lose, it's going to feel entirely different than the game that I have been playing before. And I think that's a really cool addition. And the designs are all about that. Let's get into the cons, because I got a lot to say about the cons. First of all, the easy con, the story, it's incomprehensible to me. It's some anime gobbledygook, and they never really define it very well through the multiplayer or the Operation Storm. There's Thea's Vanguard, which I'm still not sure exactly who they are or why they're upset. But they're the people that you destroy in Operation Storm. But then why am I also fighting the other brake pilots? I don't understand the story. The story is not like, it's not told very well. Like if you're expecting like a Helldivers meta experience that kind of like expands on something, I would stay away from this. What's really weird about it too is that the designers got weirdly obsessed with some areas of this. Like you can walk around the base as your person and like take showers and poop and stuff, and like, I'm not gonna lie, you never need to use this. I feel like it's weird that people took time to put this in, because I would say probably 80 to 90% of the players are never going to use this past the tutorial. And if they skip the tutorial, they're not, because you get this menu, and that menu allows you to jack in any match you want. You don't have to run to a place or anything, so there's just no reason for it. It's very strange and weird. So I think that's kind of a miss for me, especially nowadays, for it to just be a straight like PvP or PvPVE experience. It's a little bit boring on the story front. There's so many ways to tell adapting kind of interesting stories with multiplayer. I think they could have innovated a little bit on this front. Who knows, maybe they will in the future, but for now it's a little bit of a miss for me. Now my two big cons. My two big cons are, without a doubt, first, the fact that more than one person can't pick a mech. This is something that keeps me away from hero shooters. Go back through all the Snap Judgments and then all the Snap Judgment reviews and all the horrible reviews, and count how many hero shooters I play. I hate hero shooters. I'm going to tell you why I hate hero shooters, because I have to play more than one character. And don't get me wrong, I'm probably gonna play more than one character, but I hate being forced to. If I want to play something, I just want to play it. I don't want it to be a race for me to select the character before somebody else does. It's very frustrating to me. I will say that like whatever I set my default, when I set my default brake strikers, most of the time I'd say like 8 times out of 10, when it matchmakes me with people who are using different mechs. But there are definitely times where like I'm going in as Stego, and the minute I get in there, somebody's already selected Stego, and I have to pick something else, which I obviously have backups. It's just frustrating. Plus, these are mass-produced weapons of death. Why do we have to only use one? There's only one Panther in existence. There's only one Stego in existence. If there are, why am I fighting them on the other side of the field? It doesn't make sense in the canon either. When you're playing a hero shooter, at least you can kind of justify it by like, there's only one of this dude, so like playing another one of this dude doesn't make sense. Or there's only one of this lady. Why you can't play more than one of that lady? Why would there be 7 of the same exact lady on the other side? So that kind of makes sense. But for this, you're piloting mechs. I mean, the only thing that possibly makes sense to me is balancing, which I could see potentially some combos of like 6 straight mechs being scary, but I still find this irritating. I would rather you work on your balancing better so that there can be 6 or even 3 of one mech out there. Maybe a max limit of one mech, but like the fact that there's only one of each type of mech on a team is just frustrating. And then my biggest issue, that is the microtransactions. So I will say this before I go into full bitch mode. This is a free-to-play game. You can download this and play it right off the bat. You do not need to spend money to get anything in it. So a game like that should have microtransactions. That's how they make money. They need to make money. Like, as much as we hate spending money on games, and as much as we hate microtransactions, if the game is completely free for you to play, there should be microtransactions there. That's how the people get paid. That being said, there are some very annoying ways that they implement this. Now, I am going to say that from what I have noticed so far, there's nothing in the game that you can't get from grinding. You get many different forms of currency. There's achievement points, mission points, this other weird point system, which I think is premium currency, because I haven't earned it, so I'm going to assume it is, and then mashback points. I think mashback points or airdrop points or whatever. The airdrop points are for the Operation Storm. The mission points are for basically everything else, and then the achievement points are for like what you put on your card and medals that you can buy for yourself and stuff after you've earned them. So like you can make your, like, when somebody sees your card, it's like how many kills, you can get rid of how many deaths you've had and put in like longest survival time and stuff like that. And you can do that kind of editing with the achievement stuff. It's hard to keep track of all the different currencies, as per se usual. The other thing that I found really irritating is when you're buying a paint, you don't get the paint just right out. It's only 100 mission points, which you can earn in basically 2 matches of Operation Verge, but it's like if I want red for Mecha A, I have to buy it, and then if I want it for Mecha B, I have to buy it again. If I want it for my flight suit, I have to buy it a 3rd time. Like, every time you use a color, it's gone. The only way to earn paints is to do the Operation Storm, which is really confusing to me. So if you don't want to play for paints with mission points, you have to do the Operation Storm and collect paint, like, things while you're out there doing that stuff. But that also I found irritating, because there are no standard so like the airdrops that I was talking about with the weapon loadouts and the other stuff is all predicated on the currency. You have to buy them every time you go in. You don't get to like just go in with a couple of drops, and if you unlock them, they don't stay unlocked. So like, you bought a cargo drop, great, you can use it next time, then it's done, you don't get it anymore. This is so frustrating. Like it definitely like immediately put me off from the extraction thing, because I'm getting all this stuff, mods and whatnot, and the mods you attach to a mech, it's on your mech, it's done. But like with the weapons, what are the point of me collecting the extra weapons for loadouts if I don't even get a loadout to go in with? I have to purchase an loadout every time I go in, or I don't get to go in with a loadout. Like, why even collect the weapons? Why not just use your mech's weapons? It's very frustrating. I don't like this aspect of it. It takes away from the fun. Again, though, I am just going to put a caveat. I know this is a con, and it's because of the irritating ways that this works, but all of this, from what I can tell, is earnable in-game. Plus, the 3 premium mecha that aren't unlocked at the beginning, the Stellaris, Inferno, and the Serenth, or Serenith, all 3 of those mechs can be unlocked with mission points. It's a lot. It's like 15,000, and it takes you a while to earn them, but you can unlock them with it. So I haven't necessarily found anything that you can't unlock without playing. I'm sure there's a couple of outfits or whatever, but overall, I am enjoying that part of the microtransactions. I just wish they weren't nickel and diming my currencies so damn much. Like, hey man, I get it, but there's got to be some limits, some decorum here. So like, it's a weird balance you got to strike on a games as a service. So I'm not going to hold it against them too much. But like I said, the thing that's the most frustrating is the cargo pods, the weapon pods, that kind of stuff in the extraction thing. Like, you should at least get like 1 of each for each thing. And then if I want to buy 2, okay, I get it. But like, it is so frustrating to constantly have to earn those points in order to even play that. Because without those drop pods, you're at just a huge disadvantage. So, all right, so this review has gone on too long. I'm going to finish it up. Am I going to stick with this? Yes, I really enjoy the play. It's very addicting once I'm in, and it definitely gives me that one more game feel that I get from games like For Honor. So I'm going to stick with it for a while and see where this thing goes. I am enjoying the combat. I am enjoying the mechs. I enjoy it. So, yeah. Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? You guys can let me know in the comments below. You can also reach us at Blue Sky. Search up Axiom Games LLC /OldManGaming. You can also contact us on Facebook and X, though I don't use those platforms that much anymore, so keep that in mind. But you can always contact us on Discord. The link is in the description below. Influence us in all of our shows from there. Hope you guys enjoy it. You guys keep watching and listening. We'll keep making them. We'll see you guys next time.